We'll skip your housewarming. Your brother just moved to my parents texted. I stared at the message for 3 seconds, then I typed one line, hit send, and put my phone on airplane mode. What I wrote was, understood. The locks change at 5. I was 31. Partner at a law firm, the daughter who never asked for anything. That text was the first time I ever answered them with fewer than 10 words. It would also be the last time I answered them at all. I grew up in a split-level house in Oakville, where the wallpaper in the hallway was the exact color of resentment. My bedroom was the one above the garage, cold in winter, boiling in summer. The one with the slanted ceiling that cracked my forehead open the week I turned 12. Mom kissed the cut, dabbed it with peroxide, then said, be more careful, Claire. We can't afford another hospital bill because you're clumsy. Downstairs, my younger brother Ethan was learning to ride his bike in the driveway. He fell, scraped his knee, and Dad carried him inside like a war hero. They bought him the bike for Christmas. I got a secondhand graphing calculator because university is expensive. Honey, that was the pattern. Ethan's asthma inhalers were always the brand name. My contacts were whatever the discount bin had when he got suspended for selling weed behind the gym. Mom cried to the principal that her baby was going through a hard time. When I came home with a 98 in calculus and a full-ride scholarship offer, Dad looked up from the hockey game and said, that's nice. Did you take the garbage out? I told myself it didn't matter. I was the responsible one. Responsible ones don't need applause. Responsible ones pay for their own graduation dress, their own flights home at Thanksgiving, their own braces when the retainer snaps at 23 and Mom says, can't you just glue it? I moved out at 22, paid off my student loans made partner by 30. Every bonus, every raise, I sent them something. A new furnace when theirs died, a cruise for their 30th anniversary, plane tickets so they could visit Ethan in Vancouver after he needed a fresh start following his 3rd DUI. I never itemized it. I never once said, remember when you told me braces were a vanity expense? I just paid because that's what the responsible daughter does. Last year, I closed on my first real home, a 3-bedroom Edwardian in the one with the purple front door and the magnolia tree older than me. I restored the hardwood myself. Nights and weekends, sanding splinters into my palms while listening to true crime podcasts. I know I invited my parents to the housewarming. I even wrote it on thick cream cardstock because Mom once said paperless invites were tacky. They never RSVP single quotes. Then came the text. We'll skip your housewarming. Your brother just moved to no punctuation. No apology. Just the casual announcement that Ethan 20-9, 3 jobs in 10 years. Still on Dad's phone plan, had decided to move back to Toronto. Naturally, the parental spotlight swiveled like it always had. I stood in my empty living room holding that cream cardstock and felt something inside me calcify. Not break. Calcify. Hard, cold, permanent. I did not call them. I did not text back a paragraph about how I had paid for Ethan's rehab, his lawyer, the flight he missed because he was high. I simply opened my laptop and started doing what I do best: research. Turns out when your parents have been helping your brother for a decade, they stop noticing what helping actually means. Power of attorney on Dad's investment accounts just in case something happens. Ethan added as joint owner on the cottage line of credit for tax reasons. Mom's signature on blank withdrawal slips because Ethan's between banks. I printed everything. Color-coded. HIGHLIGHTERS like crime scene tape. Then I called the one person who still owed me a favor. Detective Sergeant Mara Patel, Fraud Division. The officer who'd sat across from me in a boardroom 2 years earlier when my firm defended a bank against class action embezzlement. Found the hole in the plaintiff's case that saved them $40 million. Mara remembered. Claire, she said when I asked for coffee, you never ask for anything. What is this? I slid the folder across the table. Family matter, I said. She read for 12 minutes without looking up. When she did, her eyes were bright in the way only cops and sharks get. You want to press charges? No. I said, I want to watch them realize the money's gone before they figure out who took it back. See, every dollar they'd loaned. Ethan had come from a home equity line of credit on the house I grew up in. The same house they promised would be split fairly. One day. Except my name was never on the title, and fairness, I learned early, is a word people use when they're about to screw you. I didn't steal. I simply enforced the verbal agreement. They'd repeated my entire life. We'll never let you kids go without. I retained a forensic accountant quietly. He reversed every transfer that could be classified as undue. Enrichment. Every cash advance. Every e-transfer labeled groceries that bought Ethan a PlayStation. By the time the bank statements reflected reality, my parents' line of credit was paid down to 0, and my surplus was wired to a trust in my name only. Perfectly legal, perfectly traceable, perfectly devastating. 3 weeks after the housewarming, they never attended. Ethan showed up at my door with a U-Haul and a sob story about how the condo he'd rented fell through, Mom and Dad trailing behind him like ducklings. They wanted to know if he could crash just until he's back on his feet. Translation. Indefinitely. I opened the door wearing the navy suit I saved for closing arguments. Heels, hair in a knot sharp enough to cut glass. Ethan, I said, calm. There's no room. Mom tried the watery smile that always worked on me. Sweetie, it's family. We'll figure it out. I stepped aside so they could see the living room. Bare walls. No furniture yet, just one small table holding a single envelope. Inside, the bank's final notice that the HELOC was closed, paid in full, and the title to the family house now reflected only their names, no joint tenants. No more room for mistakes. Next to it, a second envelope addressed to Ethan, a demand letter from the Crown for repayment of the unemployment benefits he'd collected while working under the table for 2 years. Fraud carries penalties. Dad went red. Mom started the high-pitched after everything. We closed the door, locked it, deadbolt, chain, the smart lock I'd installed the day after their text. From the porch, I heard Ethan scream my name like I was the villain. Maybe I was. 2 months later, the police executed a search warrant at the family home. Not for my was never there, for the forged checks Ethan had started writing once the easy money dried up. Mom answered the door in her house, face on every neighbor's Ring camera as officers carried out boxers. The video hit the local Facebook group by noon. Subject line, anyone know what's happening on Maple Crescent? Comments exploded. Someone recognized Ethan from his old mugshot. Someone else remembered Mom bragging about taking care of her boy. I watched it on my lunch break, volume off, eating a salad at my desk. I did not smile. I felt quiet, like the first night I slept in this house with the windows open and no one else is breathing down the hall. Tried calling after the raid. 73 missed calls, voicemails that started with tears and ended with threats. I saved them all. Evidence is evidence. Ethan took a plea. House arrest. Restitution order. The cottage sold to cover it. Mom and Dad downsized to a 1-bedroom rental 20 minutes from the life they used to flex at the golf club. I heard Dad's blood pressure is through the roof. I heard Mom stop dyeing her hair. I heard these things the way you hear about distant weather, interesting, irrelevant. My magnolia bloomed this spring. I bought a porch swing, the kind I wanted when I was 10, and Dad said they were for houses that actually mattered. I sit there some evenings with a glass of wine and listen to the street settle. No shouting, no favors asked. Just the soft creak of chains and the smell of flowers that belong only to me. I still practice law. I still win. But the best verdict I ever got wasn't delivered in a courtroom. It was delivered the moment I stopped funding my own erasure. You're watching this and you're the one who always pays, who always understands, who always steps aside so someone else can have the spotlight. I see you. I was you, and I'm telling you, the door locks from the inside. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from. And if you've ever had to change the locks on people who were supposed to love you fair, you're not alone. You never were.